Brianna Aguilera was a college sophomore at Texas A&M. One day when her mom couldn't get a hold of her, her mom contacted police. Then after some investigating, police told her that Brianna was dead and had taken her own life by jumping out of an apartment and falling 17 stories. But her mom doesn't believe it, and she says she has evidence that something else was going on inside that apartment. And tonight she will join us live with all the details. Meanwhile, another brand new trial on Court TV involving another college student, this one a freshman named Trinity Pogue, who was accused of murdering an 18-month-old infant boy she was watching while her boyfriend, who was the child's custodian, was out picking up a pizza. What happened inside that dorm room? But first, day 2 of the trial of Brian Walshe. Prosecutors allege he murdered his wife, Ana Walshe, who he suspected of having an affair. Walshe was facing federal prison for selling fake Warhol paintings and was struggling financially when his wife vanished. She's never been found, but now Walshe admits he got rid of her body after he found her dead, but he claims he did not kill her. Prosecutors continued putting in their evidence today, and tonight we have all the latest. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you with us. And day 2 of this trial, everyone is talking about up in Dedham, Massachusetts, same courthouse where Karen Reed was tried twice. Ana Walshe, the victim in this case, has never been found. She's never been found. Her body has never been recovered. So there's no autopsy, there's no cause and manner of death, nothing like that, because there's no body to examine. It can't be done in this case. And these cases happen, and many times they are successfully prosecuted. They're called no-body cases. But by themselves, they have some inherent challenges for prosecutors, because jurors want to be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that the person is dead, number one, was murdered, number two, and then that the person who's been charged is the one responsible. So that's, in cases like this, it's an extra obstacle that you have. Now, Brian Walshe, though, has a story here about what happened to his wife, and he's basically, through his attorney, said she just died. She just died. You know, we were out to dinner, we're celebrating, I don't know, I'm washing some dishes, I go upstairs, and she's just dead. Like, not breathing, passed away, gone. Okay, I mean, that can happen. People die. Everyone dies. Sometimes people die suddenly, unexpectedly. It happens plenty of times. She's a little young, but still, something could have happened here. The problem is, it's at this point, again, looking at this from Brian Walshe's perspective, where he has a decision to make. My wife just died, or she's in distress. What do I do? Well, his attorney said he panicked. Well, you panic, do you call 911 to see if maybe she's not dead? Maybe there's something you can do. But that's not what he does. When he panics, instead of calling 911 and trying to figure out what happened to my wife, he decides to frame himself. That's what he did. Think about this. So what did he do? His wife dies, then he admittedly lies to police about what happened, makes up stories about what happened. And then, of course, in the interim, dismembers and disposes of her body in places where it's never been recovered. So his defense is that she died of natural causes and he framed himself for murder. That's the defense here, folks. I just report it. I don't make this stuff up. I just report what's happening in the courtroom. So now it's up to a jury to decide if this story is reasonable doubt or ridiculous. That's what the trial's about. Now, let's take a look at what happened today inside the courtroom, because there was a lot of testimony about the evidence that they found against Brian Walshe, all of the searches that he was doing on various devices searches at the time of the death of his wife, again, who he said died of natural causes.
Sergeant, what did you do on January 9th in this matter?
I went to 300 Forest Street in Peabody.
And about what time did you get to 300 Forest Street in Peabody?
Around dusk.
And why were you there?
We had collected 2 dumpsters from the apartment complex at 330 Paradise Road.
And so what were these state troopers doing? Not Lieutenant Tully, but the other ones you just mentioned.
It's a big warehouse with trash lining on the walls. We had dumped the contents of the dumpsters in the warehouse, and we began searching the bags, bag by bag.
Directing your attention, what is this?
This is plastic sheeting.
And can you see yourself in this photograph at all?
I can see my feet.
Where are your feet located?
At the top of the frame.
So, Sergeant, what are we looking at here as far as the process that you were describing?
So this is right when one of the bags was opened for examination. The contents was dumped out so we could look at it.
And if we could go to Exhibit 52, which is file 6867. Now, what are we looking at here in relation to the previous photograph?
Those are the contents moved to like tarp and plastic and paper sheeting so they could be further examined.
And the boots, do you know what brand those are?
Hunter boots.
Sergeant, did you see that white piece of paper that night?
I did.
What was that?
That's a COVID-19 vaccination card with the name Ana Walshe on it.
Using the parameters from the search warrant from December 25th of 2022 to January 8th of 2023, were you able to compile the Safari Internet search history from the MacBook, which was labeled in your lab as item number 3?
Yes, I was.
What is the title?
Best ways to dispose of a body - Google search. How long before a body starts to smell? How long for someone to be missing to be dead? How long does DNA last? Can I use bleach to clean my wood floors from blood stains? Is it better to throw away crime scene clothes or wash them? Can you identify a body with broken teeth? Disposing of a body in the trash. Can a body decompose in a plastic bag? Can police get your search history without your computer?
You did an examination of the web history for the iPad mini, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And what did you find between the MacBook and the iPad web history?
So the web history for the iPad, other than numerous more YouTube videos, had the same searches that we saw that are in the MacBook.
Were you able to determine which device, the laptop, meaning the MacBook, or the iPad, the searches originated from?
Yes, I was.
How?
By extracting the database from each device and then loading it into a SQLite browser, which is another program to just view the databases. I was able to see that the MacBook had a designation of 0, showing that it originated on the MacBook, whereas the iPad did not have that. It had an unknown source.
Those searches are something else, right? Wow. All right, let's bring in Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, who was inside the courtroom as prosecutors walked through their evidence. Matt, of course, joining us from Dedham, Massachusetts. Such a familiar sight. Like deja vu all over again. I've seen this, and I've seen you wear jackets and coats, and then sometimes just shirts, sometimes light jackets, sometimes an umbrella. Spent a lot of time there. All right, let's talk about these searches. What other internet searches did this jury hear about?
Yeah, you could hear a pin drop in the courthouse here behind me in Dedham, Massachusetts. Everyone was fixated on what these witnesses, these detectives were talking about, and that disturbing search history that went on for several days after the disappearance of Ana Walshe. Really disturbing stuff. And they included these. Take a look at your screen. Let's go through a couple more. Can I mix white vinegar to stop smells? Can baking soda make a dead body smell good? Cleaning up blood without leaving a trace. How long for a dismembered body to decompose? Best states to divorce for a man. Best divorce strategies for a man. And that wasn't it. The search history went all day long almost in testimony for this jury that was let out early today because of the inclement weather. We have a storm moving through. But things got very awkward and chilly in that courtroom for a different reason. And that's because they also brought up his porn search. Take a listen.
Cheating wife seduces another man to impregnate her. Scarlet Scandal, Seth Gamble, Erotica X, Pornhub.com.
And you don't know how long this person that was looking at this movie, how long they viewed the movie, or if they viewed it at all.
I do. It shows me a time frame of 7 minutes.
Brian Walshe's mom in the gallery just a few rows in front of me. She was looking at the jury during all of that. And that cross-examination, that lasted quite some time today. Talking about porn, what the original porn website was, what it was attached to, what was on the porn, whether or not the detective looked at the porn. It was very awkward and cringeworthy. Vinny?
So it was a short film because it was only 7 minutes. It wasn't, it wasn't a full-length feature. It was just a short film. That's bizarre. And that's, the same search time basically as these other things. Like, he's figuring out how to clean up a crime scene, dismembered bodies, 7 minutes of porn.
That's what it looks like. But again, the detective was asked about the video, the length, the original video, what it's linked to, and he said that he hadn't watched it. So,
okay.
There you go.
All right, what's the significance of the iPad versus the MacBook? They seem to spend a lot of time on that.
Okay, so this is really huge, and this has been a big deal since the very beginning. 3 years ago, when Court TV and your show was investigating this case, when he was first arraigned in a nearby courthouse, and they were talking about the evidence against him, and it was connected to the children's iPad. So there were 3 little boys, all under the age of 6, that were the children of Brian and Ana Walshe, and they all had iPads that they would watch cartoons on. Well, the iPad belongs to the children. They were taken into custody. They were examined. And also the MacBook Pro, but that belongs to this defendant. Take a listen.
How do you explain at, 4:54 in the morning, the iPad here, the iPad in is clearing the 10 best ways to dispose of the human body?
Thomas is in his room with the iPad, or Thomas is usually, I don't use an iPad.
There is dozens of searches on that iPad on the morning of the 1st that ask how to dispose of the human body, how to get blood out of hardwood floors, how to dispose of the body in the trash, how to stop a body from decomposing, and how do you explain that?
I don't have no idea.
So this is really important stuff here because it turns out that the devices were synced. You heard right there in that initial police interview where he was trying to explain his way out of it when he was confronted by investigators. The investigators were asking, why was this search history on the children's iPad? He said he didn't know. He was kind of blaming it on them. They were saying, well, the children don't even know how to spell their own name. How are they searching for this stuff? But it turns out that it was synced to his MacBook. So right now, prosecutors are explaining to the jury that the initial search came from his MacBook.
Imagine that, pinning it on your kids. Unbelievable. All right, now there was also a picture of an injury on Brian Walshe's hand. What did the jury see today?
Okay, so they saw pictures, and this is our first time seeing these photographs. This is key evidence in the case. Now, prosecutors didn't spend a whole lot of time on this today. They were really just driving home the search history that we were just talking about. But this is the picture. Look at your screen right there. This is a first glimpse at this. This is going to be key evidence. I think it's going to come back in this case, but you can see that there is an injury to his hand, to his thumb. It looks like a cut. Remember, prosecutors allege that Ana Walshe's body was cut up using hacksaws and and other saws inside the home. And so we're going to hear more about that. But a lot of times when knives are used, we know by experience in true crime that there's an injury to the person using the knife in a lot of cases. So I think that we're going to hear more about this, but that injury is very key. On cross-examination, the defense attorney was just making the point and trying to sow reasonable doubt by saying you don't know when the injury occurred. It could have been any time before his arrest. Vinny?
Yeah, it could have been when he was, putting together the frames on his fake Andy Warhols. I mean, he can get hurt anyway, right? All right, Matt Johnson, we did the live hit here in less than 7 minutes. How about that?
Did you time it?
Yes, I did. Less than 7 minutes. Matt Johnson in Dedham. All right, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney, former head New Jersey County prosecutor Bob Bianchi, along with former police lieutenant trial attorney Rick King, and national parenting and family relationship expert Dr. Sue Kornbluth. All right, I'm going to throw this out here to you guys. Now, here's what I'm looking at this case, the big picture, right? All this stuff about the searches and everything, he's basically admitted that hey, I found her, she was dead. I admit it. I pleaded guilty to, taking her body, disposing of it. So all these searches seem to be related to that. There's nothing about, how to kill your wife, right? So they can't really prove how she died. So is that reasonable doubt, or is this whole thing ridiculous? Bob, start us off.
Oh, here I go again, and I'm going to get my co-panelists here are going to come after me, Vinny. Yes, you hit the point. That is a prosecutor I'm worried about. There is no evidence prior to this of him looking those things up. And while he's proven beyond a reasonable doubt and admitted that he discarded the body, I've said this a million times, murder cases like this and a prom are very similar as a defense lawyer. You dance with the one you brought. And this is the case you have. And the prosecution does not have a body. It doesn't have the forensics. I'm not saying they're going to lose the case, but what I am saying, I said this to you before, medical event or potentially she committed suicide. I have literally handled cases where people have lied because they did not want to say to a family that my wife committed suicide or something of that nature. People lie for all sorts of reasons. And that is exactly what's unfolded. Vinny, I'm looking for vindication here.
So I listen to what Bob says. I listen to what he says, and my inclination is always I'm trying to find the defense angle in this case. I try to counter you a little, Vinny, and try to stay more defensive oriented. It's difficult in this case, man. He did so much, and so much to really, as you succinctly said, to implicate himself in this case. He literally framed himself for this case by doing what he did, the searches, the Home Depot. And there are some things I think that kind of tie it to him, like the whole, the searches about dismembering. To me, those are consciousness of guilt. And I think there's some things they can dig out of that.
Oh my God. So let me just say this, Vinny. I'm on the side of this is absolutely ridiculous. If I'm looking at this from a psychological standpoint and relational, if my wife was dead and I discovered it, I would use my phone and hit 911. But he didn't do that. He panicked and put her in a bag or whatever he did.
Wait. I just got to say something. Doctor, I have handled cases where people have lied because they were afraid. They're in the middle of a divorce. They lied about where they were. They lied about what they were doing. Made them very suspicious because they said, I know you guys think I'm the one who did it. And it turned out that they didn't, in fact, do it. So we can come up with all sorts of psychological, you better than anybody should know psychologically, people will lie to cover up things that doesn't necessarily mean they did it.
Bob, he is already a liar. We know that from the Andy Warhol fake things. Also, come on, everybody. Did really a 6-year-old type in all these long sentences to find out who, how to kill, how to cover this up? No way. The father did it. It's linked to his MacBook. And I don't know who's on this jury, but I'm hoping that they have brain cells to see that this man is guilty.
All right. We've got a lot more to get to this hour. Think Tank staying with us when we come back. The pageant queen child murder case. Day one, another new trial on Court TV. Plus, coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie investigates the Bahamian love triangle murder plot. Former beauty queen Lindsay Shiver accused of plotting to kill the father of her children to be with her Bahamian lover. What went wrong behind the walls of their Georgia mansion? Tonight, we investigate.
The disappearance of mother Ana Walshe.
Her husband now charged with her murder.
All eyes on this accused killer.
Mr. Walsh was suspecting his wife of having an affair.
It's a massive trail of evidence.
This incredible timeline of Google searches.
It shows everything that was in his mind.
He searched how long before a body starts to smell.
The disappearance of Ana Walshe murder trial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
That's little Jackson. Just 18 months when he died from blunt force trauma. Prosecutors say it was Trinity Pogue who did it. The child was not hers. The child belonged to her boyfriend. Welcome back. I want to take you in the courtroom. This is a brand new trial on Court TV. Take a listen to the prosecutor describing what happened to that little angel.
Trinity Pogue resented this child. She was sort of placed in a stepmother role that wasn't the role she wanted to be in, that she wanted to have a family, she wanted to have children, she wanted to have a child or children with Jay Williams, but not that child. She wanted her own child with Jay Williams. When he left, his son was in good health. He was gone 35 or 36 minutes. As he was coming back, he gets a call from Trinity Pogue, who says something to the effect of, "I don't know what happened, but he's not breathing." And so Jay Williams pulls up to the dorm, and he goes into the dorm, and you'll see him. He's got a Walmart bag and a Pizza Hut box in his hands, and he goes through the door, and when he gets to the room, she's holding his baby, and he said the child appeared to be in great distress. He tossed the pizza on the bed. He dropped the Walmart bags on the floor. He picked the baby up and he took off. He rushed out the door with the baby, headed to Phoebe Sumter to the emergency room. But by the time the child got to the emergency room, after spending 35 minutes in that room with Trinity Pogue, this is what the child had. He had fresh bruising on his face. There was a fresh bruise, a visible, immediate, a sort of immediately visible bruise on the right side. Yeah, right side of his forehead. There was a bruise on the right side of his neck. There was a bruise on his cheek. There was a much bigger bruise on his other cheek. He's bleeding from his brain. There are bruises, multiple bruises, 4, 5, or more fresh bruises on the top of this child's head. Okay? Here and here and here and here, and in the temporal parietal region, which I think means right here, okay? And up here at the top of his head. And that's not all. This bone here at the bottom of his skull, the occipital bone, is fractured. Not only is the occipital bone fractured, but he has a massive hemorrhage.
When the child didn't eat, it was just sitting there not eating, and that's when they decided to go get pizza. The father went to get pizza. Now, when he went to get pizza, Miss Pogue said she was going to go with him. She and the child would go along with him. But he said, no, you just stay here. And prior to them going to get pizza, she and Mr. Williams had taken a shower together. And this was right before he would then get out of the shower and leave. He got out of the shower before she did. He got out of the shower about 5 minutes before she did, because she remained in the shower and shaved her legs. And that took some time, as you might imagine. When she got out of the shower, Mr. Williams was holding the child, who was crying rather loudly. But that was not unheard of, because the child was fussy from time to time and had been fussy during this occasion by not eating. Trinity Pogue did not think a lot about it at the time, but the child calmed down. Mr. Williams put him in his little seat, and he left to get the food. When he came back, the child was all of a sudden in distress. Trinity Pogue will tell you Trinity Pogue's testimony would be that she was there, was cleaning up around the house, and didn't see anything unusual until she looks and sees that the hit child is not able to hold its head up as it should.
Looks like she's pointing the finger at Dad, Rick.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that's going to fly. And here's my thing. So, I'm always trying to be on, I try to stay kind of in the middle almost. Here's the problem, man. And in cases when you're a defense lawyer, one of the defenses that you have is SODI, S-O-D-D-I, some other dude did it. And so in this case, the problem with some other dude did it is that the photos that she took and the text messages that she sent, everything leading up to Dad coming back, baby was okay. So what you have to lean on in this case is what this defense lawyer is doing, the rush to judgment. And what he said, what he laid out, which I thought was brilliant, was, first of all, there was the issue of evidence not collected, interviews not done, all the interviews done on the side of Ms. Pogue did it, and no interviews on the other side about what Dad may have done at the other times. Because what you're looking for is you're looking to say that some of these injuries are inconsistent with, or you can't say that they happened in proximate time to when the child presented at the hospital. That's what you're looking for, because you need to say these things lasted over time. However, they're having a difficult time bringing it to, and I think that the forensic and the medical examiner is going to tell you differently.
Yeah, Vinny, I want to jump in on this, okay? As a former homicide prosecutor, I've been there. I've been on the scene, just like Rick has. And Rick will attest to this. I have seen people jump to conclusions, and he just alluded to it a minute ago. And the minute they do, I've watched it happen. Every piece of evidence that supports the theory of the case they accept, and anything that doesn't support the theory they reject. I just had a murder case dismissed, a homicide case dismissed, on a baby. After 4 years, medical experts, look at the injuries. They could have only been done in that 15-minute period. Wait a minute, how could they not been done 3 hours ago? They weren't able to answer it. But in the end, the defense found an expert that gave an alternate cause of death. And 4 years later, a man who's accused of killing his 5-week-old baby, who everyone had locked, signed, sealed, and delivered as guilty, had the case dismissed against him. Now, I'm not saying that happened here, but I agree with Rick. There are lots of mistakes that happen, and the defense is pointing it out here. So I'm a prosecutor at heart. I'm just telling you how, as a prosecutor, I would be worried how a jury is going to see this case. And I hope these experts didn't do what they did in the case that I had, because they made an egregious error on the cause of death.
Dr. Sue, I want to show you a little testimony from the father who did take the stand today, talking about a statement that she made to the officer at the hospital. This is all while he is at the hospital speaking with an off-duty police officer.
Initially, I told him I didn't know he was with my girlfriend. Then when my girlfriend got there, when she got there, she said he fell off a chair.
So she's got a different story. Like the story we're hearing in court is, I don't know, I was shaving my legs and something happened. Now he fell off a chair.
I mean, it does bring up the point as to whether or not she's telling the truth at the time, but is he also telling the truth? This case is very tricky because nobody was there besides the two of them, or maybe one of them, when this happened. So we really don't know exactly what happened, but it seems to me that one, one of them did this. Now, whether it's her or whether it's him, we don't know. And I hope that's going to come out as the evidence comes forward in this case. But I don't know if you all read this. There was something that was said by a roommate of hers in college that she had written at a time that she wanted to kill his son.
Yeah. When you look at the case, and you first of all, it's a tough spot, right? Like, she's a freshman in college. Yeah. You're at a dorm. There's an 18-month-old. I mean, it's a lot of responsibility, but it's responsibility. Like, the child's relying upon whatever adult is taking care of them at the time. I'm really concerned, though, here, Rick. Anytime the stories start to change, it goes from accident to somebody else did it. And that, to me, that's a red flag.
Right, and this story changed from he fell off the bed till he fell off the air mattress. Now he's falling off the chair. And what we don't know is, we don't know if the boyfriend or the dad is changing the story to protect her, or if he's changing the story to protect himself. And those are the things you're going to have to look in and ask yourself.
Is she going to have to take the stand, Bob?
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm old school. I mean, unless I absolutely think that there is no way one juror can find you not guilty, then she's going to have to take the stand. But from what we're seeing right now, I'm not seeing the evidence right now that I would recommend that she takes the stand, because the defense is doing a good job at going after the boyfriend.
All right, when we come back, a story coming to us out of Texas. This young woman, a sophomore in college, is found dead at an apartment complex in Austin. She goes to Texas A&M. Police are saying suicide. Mom is saying no way, and I've got some evidence. Mom is going to join us next. Take a look at this photo. This is Brianna Aguilera, 19-year-old sophomore at Texas A&M, and this weekend was the big game. Texas A&M versus the Texas Longhorns. The game was in Austin, so it's a road game for Texas A&M. So Brianna Aguilera went to Austin and went to the game. And then after the game, she was in an apartment up on the 17th floor. She was found around 1 a.m. on the ground outside of that apartment complex. Her mother was trying to contact her, contacted police, and then around 4 o'clock on Saturday, they put 2 and 2 together and realized that the young woman they had in the morgue was Brianna Aguilera, Stephanie Rodriguez's daughter. And now Mom is absolutely heartbroken. Investigators are telling her that it was suicide, that she took her own life. And Mom was questioning that, saying, wait a minute, I know my daughter. There was nothing going on in her life. Like, she's 19 years old. She's a sophomore in college. She's a 4.0 student. She's planning a future to go into law. And I was texting with her. And Mom said she was texting with her daughter that night, and there was something happening in the apartment. There were like 15 people in the apartment that night. And there was some sort of a confrontation or altercation that took place. And she says she has the text messages to prove it. But investigators are still saying no sign of foul play. This is, at this point, I guess, presumed to be no foul play, suicide. Although the investigation is still continuing. Now, we're having some trouble reaching Stephanie Rodriguez right now. Could you imagine what she's going through right now with all of this happening? So hopefully she'll pick up as we attempt to contact her again. We spoke with her earlier today. But I want to bring in our think tank in the meantime. Bob Bianchi, Rick King, Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Dr. Sue, I'll begin with you first of all. I'm skeptical about the suicide. Number one, it seems like it's a very quick conclusion to come to. But I'm thinking about the setting. It's a party. Like, she's at someone else's apartment. There's like, I'm sure it's girls and boys, men and women, whatever, that are at this party, 15 people, and that's when you decide that I'm gonna end it all. That, to me, that doesn't fit the stories we usually hear about young people taking their lives. What are your thoughts? What is your initial reaction to what we're hearing here?
Yeah, when I read this story, my initial reaction was that this was probably not a suicide and that something had happened at that party, perhaps out on the balcony, that maybe the other people in there didn't see. When somebody is pushed over a railing, it doesn't always mean that she's going to have bruises all over her body unless she, started to fight back, but it could have been very quick. This doesn't seem, from what has been presented to us, as a young kid that would be committing suicide at this point in her life. It seems that she was, a happy-go-lucky kid that was enjoying life, was going to the football games. Now, of course, Vinny, we don't know what goes on inside of anyone's head mentally. So I don't know what was going on inside of her head. I don't even know if her mother does. But to me, it does not smell like suicide. And my heart goes out to her mother for her loss, no matter how this happened. It's horrific.
And Bob, one thing we're hearing here from the mom was that she had these text messages, and it didn't seem like, at least she's saying, the detectives were not that interested in what she had to share with them. That struck me like, come on, guys, come on. Like, you want all the information.
Vinny, this is an epidemic problem in law enforcement. When I was an assistant you know my history. I was in the homicide squad. We were curious. We cared. When I became the head prosecutor, it got to a point where I said, if anybody says the word suicide in the first 5 minutes of an unattended death, or a death in which there could be other explanations, you will lose your job. They literally would refer to it as the S word, because so many cases were being written off immediately as suicides and medical events because they didn't have the desire to investigate any further. And it sounds just like, and here's the other thing, the pathologists and the medical examiners a lot of times go along. There's this game that's played with the investigators and with the pathologists. How do you know it's a suicide as opposed to an accident, for example? She fell over that thing. How do you know it wasn't nefarious? Why aren't the detectives looking at these text messages, interviewing? This investigation would take me weeks, maybe even months before I would even approximate coming close to the idea that something like this was a suicide. But you know what? This goes on, Vinny, all the time. I know the public thinks that a lot of times prosecutors are like falsely charging people. They don't realize the epidemic of where they're just trying to close the case. Maybe Rick can confirm this. Close the case and move on. That's what I think is happening here.
Yeah, I was going to say that as a parent, I don't know that either ending is good for me, whether it was suicide or something nefarious. Either way, there's a hole in the heart that's never going to be filled. But here's what I would say, man. I'd like to think that they talked to the 15 people that were in that office or that apartment. I'd like to think that they are using some sort of geolocation, either cell phone or videos, trying to put together what happened in the moments following the tailgate leading up to her time in that apartment building. I'd like to think all those things have happened. Up till now, it doesn't appear as though it has, and that's what's disturbing.
Yeah, I would also ask them to voluntarily give me your cell phones, because you know, if it's 15 young adults and something happens, they're going to text each other about it. There'll be some level of communication.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to know what's going on at around 1 o'clock in the morning. Nobody saw her missing. No one noticed that she was gone. I don't know. Like, why aren't they speaking? Did any of them speak to the mom, any of the people who were in the apartment?
Right. There's a lot.
I don't know. Was she just gone and none of the 15 people noticed that she was gone? And nobody called anyone?
And there's a social history. The mother knows this child. This is like important to me. And you know what? Jumping off a building for 17 stories, doctor can tell me better than anyone, is not a typical way, I hate to use gender here, that a woman, I'm not saying it's just not normal that all of a sudden you decide to jump off a 17-story building. It's odd to me.
Yeah, the other part is...
Yeah, actually, Bob and I agree there.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
He's right.
I think the other part of the investigation, though, is you need to have a toxicology done. I mean, there could be you know, whether there was drinking or drugs or someone has slipped something at a party. We know that happens all the time. You know, there's so many unanswered questions, but to right away say suicide, that's where I'm so troubled, Rick. It's like, how is that the fallback position so quickly? Like, this is just Tuesday. She was getting word on this, you know, over the weekend. Like, initially, oh yeah, it was. What do you mean it was suicide? How do you know? How do you know? Was there a note?
No.
Right. Typically, what we want to do is what we'd like to see is some sort of, you know, open investigation right now, without calling it something until we get to the bottom of it and do the work we're supposed to do. That's what should be happening. That's what should have happened here.
Yeah, and obviously we don't know, and I don't think anyone knows, other than those who could be involved. If anyone is involved, they would know. But until the investigation is done, until the autopsy, toxicology, speaking to everyone who was in that apartment, asking them for their cell phones, gathering all the data, seeing if stories are matching up or not. And until that is done, and I feel so bad for the mom. Like, she was supposed to be on tonight. We spoke with her earlier today, and she said, yeah, all right, I want to speak. I want to go on there. I want to talk about this because I need to shine a light on this case, right? But what her world is like upside down, inside out right now. And I feel so bad for the family. Yeah. But obviously, we'll stay on the story. Big thanks to our think tank tonight, Bob Bianchi, Rick King, Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Always great to have you. When we come back, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, former beauty queen Lindsay Shiver was in the midst of a steamy affair with her Bahamian boyfriend when prosecutors say she plotted to have her husband killed. But did she really want to kill him? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV. This week,
the disappearance of Ana Walshe. Did a suspected affair lead to murder? We'll get you ready for each day in the case against Brian Walshe.
Opening statements with Julie Grant. Mornings at 8/7 Central on Court TV.
Call.
Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Fought for her life. Of course, we're talking about Anna Kepner. That was the 18-year-old, went on that blended family carnival cruise, was found dead, stuffed under her cabin bed on November 7th. Well, court documents indicate that her stepbrother is a suspect being considered by the FBI, who's investigating the case. Now we are hearing from her aunt, Crystal Wright, who spoke with Fox 35 in Orlando. She said the family learned through unrelated custody documents that Kepner's 16-year-old stepbrother is considered a suspect in the investigation, though no charges have been filed. We don't understand why. If the boy is a suspect, why has he not been charged yet? What's happening there? Wright added that she believes her niece tried to fight back. I know Anna fought. I know she fought for her life, so it's rough. It is rough. And obviously, we're keeping an eye on all the developments in this case, but as we speak tonight, still no charges pending in that case. Take a look at your screens, folks. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. This is 15-year-old Macy Leanne Ferris. Macy is missing from Lufkin, Texas since November 25th. If you see Macy, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference, 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Angelina County Sheriff's Office in Texas. That number's on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Macy to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.